Hello everybody and welcome back to the Survival Chances Slim Summary Series. In this episode we'll be covering cycles 31 through 40 of our maximum difficulty oxygen not included Let's Play. So, what happened in the past 10 cycles? Well, first of all, because we're trying to print out as many duplicates as possible, we printed out 3 new ones. We have Devin, Hassan, and Ruby joining the crew. Unfortunately, we have the departure of one of our duplicates, Otto here, dead from starvation in a base that has still plenty of food available. How did that happen? We'll get to that in a little bit. The two most important things for our colony, though, are that we have explored out beyond our base a little bit and found and sort of are utilizing 2 vents. The first is this infectious polluted oxygen vent down deep here to the south. This polluted oxygen vent is going to produce for us, while it's active, 313.6 grams per second of 60°C polluted oxygen infected with Slimelung. Now, this has an eruption period that isn't 100% of the time, and has an active period that certainly isn't 100% of the time. So overall, this thing is probably going to supply only enough oxygen for 1 or 2 duplicates. But still, when we're talking about one of the most precious resources that we have in the game, one that we're really struggling with at the moment, more oxygen is always going to be useful. And so our way of dealing with the Slimelung that comes out of here is that we have set up these deodorizers down here. These are going to clean up the air as it travels upwards. And then hopefully by the time it reaches our base, there's not as much Slimelung left over, right? We have a lot of it down here. But as we kind of go up, this gas is not going to support Slimelung, and it's slowly going to die off, hopefully before our dupes breathe too much of it in. The other vent that we discovered, and that we kind of had vision of before we even started this episode, is this natural gas geyser over here. And right now we're just having it uncapped and producing natural gas, which is kind of just flowing out through our base in a way that we don't want to do. So we're sort of in the middle of doing all this. That we have some work that we need to do, some piping that we need to complete. But the basic idea here is that with this natural gas being produced at 150°C, we have some cooling buildings set up here, these ice makers, which are going to eventually get water from here. I'm going to set up a pitcher pump and have them pump out the water so it's a small closed loop. We can build ice temp shift plates to keep this area cold, and that'll keep, even though this is a 150-degree gas, this will help keep this area cool enough because none of our buildings, because we don't have access to gold or steel, none of our buildings are capable of surviving a temperature higher than 75 degrees. 75°C overheat temperature is basically what we're working with for everything. So we set up a little bit of a cooling system here and this gas pump, and that's going to harvest our sort of natural gas from the system. Ultimately, we're going to try and seal this area off and then pump out any natural gas that escaped into our base back into this room. But the way that we're sort of filtering out the natural gas from the other stuff, which is probably going to be mostly carbon dioxide at this point, is we are using a mechanical filter. Now this thing is not completely built. Again, we're just missing basically this one gas pipe, your gas duct tile right here. But the way it works is that we have taken a gas valve and throttled it down to 1 gram per second. That way, any natural gas or any gas really in the system, and we've made sure as we constructed this that only natural gas got into this loop, at least at the start. Any natural gas in the system is going to prioritize going through this gas valve before it does anything else. Right? It is going to say, the very first thing I want to do is I want to send 1 gram through this line and back into itself before I do anything else. And that's going to basically prime every single packet on this loop with 1 gram of natural gas. And the thing about oxygen not included is that 2 gases of different types are not allowed to occupy the same space. So as we have this gas pump operate, it is going to be pumping gas through this line, and anytime it can, it is going to try and bridge over to this other line by the same properties that make the priority for this gas to be try and cross this gas valve if you can. The same thing is going to be at work with these gas bridges, and if possible the gases are going to bridge over. But because every single one of these packets is made up of natural gas, only natural gas is going to be able to bridge over. If I have a kilogram of carbon dioxide going through here, it's just going to ignore this because it's going to say there's natural gas on the other side, I can't enter, right? And it's going to continue on its merry way. We do need to have that merry way end up being somewhere. That merry way is probably going to be over back by our carbon skimmers. But the basic idea here is that this gas pump is going to be pumping gases that are going to be a mixture of natural gas and anything else. Usually carbon dioxide are going to flow through here. The carbon dioxide is going to continue on to wherever we direct it. We have haven't built that quite yet. But the natural gas is going to bridge over onto this line, and then anything in excess of that 1 gram per second that is allowed through this gas valve is going to travel across this gas bridge and into this gas storage plus natural gas generator system. We have a gas reservoir over here, and we have a natural gas generator. This natural gas generator is going to accept natural gas in from this gas reservoir, and it's going to output CO2 just directly into our carbon skimmer room. So we're harvesting the polluted oxygen over here, harvesting, so to speak, by setting up some deodorizers to clean up the air and hopefully kill off most of the Slimelung before it gets into our base. And then we're going to harvest the natural gas here by using this gas pump in combination with a mechanical filter, which will allow us to filter out the natural gas without spending any power. We're going to use that to supply a natural gas generator. Natural gas generator is going to dump its CO2 into our carbon skimmer room and dump more polluted water into our polluted water reservoir, which again is feeding our arbor trees that we have domesticated, and eventually we'll be feeding an electrolyzer room, which we have yet to set up. So those are the big developments. We've expanded beyond the borders of our base into the deep, hot sand, and found a couple of resources that'll be useful for our base. So you might be asking, well, why did Otto die, right? This is a good question. How did Otto die of starvation when there's plenty of food in our base? Well, here's the trick. Otto contracted some Slimelung, and one of the properties of Slimelung is that it has your breath go down by 1% per second. So Otto started running out of breath, and it created this deadly loop, which is that because I don't have a lot of oxygen in my base, when Otto decided he needed to go to the bathroom, he went to the bathroom, but when he reached 70% breath, which happened sooner than it should because he's running out of breath due to the Slimelung, he said, I need to go and recover my breath because I have Slimelung and I need to recover it sooner than other duplicates. He would leave the bathroom to go and recover his breath and then go back into the bathroom and try and complete going to the bathroom. But it took him too long to go to the bathroom. He'd always say, oh, I need to go catch my breath before he could finish using the bathroom. And we couldn't prioritize him to go and eat before this took its toll on him. Eventually, Otto died. He wasn't able to go. We weren't able to break him out of that loop. We weren't able to tell him to go and eat. We weren't able to force him to go to the bathroom because he kept on saying, I need to go and recover my breath because I have Slimelung. And so Slimelung, as it turns out, is kind of a death sentence in this base. Until we get oxygen flowing down to these lavatories and making it so that duplicates are able to recover some of their breath as they're going to the lavatory, that little minor effect from the Slimelung, that minus 1% breath per second, is enough to kill them off. So that's basically the progress of the base. We have completed as well a lot of our southern insulation here. We still have some patches in the sort of insulation panel that we need to fill out. But we've basically taken this nice eastern insulation and extended it down across the south. We're extending it down here. We've added in this natural gas harvesting system. We've added in some infectious polluted oxygen harvesting. We have finished planting our arbor trees. They are domesticated now. And we've gotten our pips to plant at least a few more wild trees around the place. So we're going to help with our lumber production at least a little bit now that we've gotten them unstuck from that loop they were stuck in with the mealwood seeds. So overall, not a great day for us. We're still on track, however, to reach 15 duplicates by cycle 50. So that's the goal, is try and print out a lot of duplicates, really force ourselves to accept a lot of duplicates, and I think we're sticking to that, even though Otto has died. Rip Otto, you will be remembered. But other than that, base going pretty well. Having this extra source of power and polluted water is going to be really big. Having this extra source of polluted oxygen is really big. And that's it for this episode. Expanded out our farms, naturally. I'm just going to kind of quit commenting on expanding out our farms because that's just going to be a common feature every time we increase our population. But yeah, that's it for the episode, and I will catch you guys next time.